Hello again. I'm back with another clock. This is one that I would call a novelty clock, similar also to advertising clocks. And as I have a couple of those, one's for Budweiser, another one for Rheingold, I thought one saying that the bar is open would be rather appropriate. It's made by a company called Spartus, which I had never heard of before. I looked it up and really wasn't able to learn too much about the company. But I would estimate that this is probably somewhere from the 1970s. It does have some issues. The most obvious one is that it's missing hands. If I can get it to run, I'll have to come up somehow with some replacement hands for it. Another issue is there's supposed to be a bulb in here. It fits on the back. This little door kind of opens up and it would fit in here. And according to the label, you're supposed to use a 7-watt bulb, and I'm guessing someone had a more powerful bulb in it because the heat from it melted the plastic on the top here a bit. But if it's hanging on a wall, that's not going to be too noticeable. So what I want to do next is put a bulb in here and see if that's going to work, and then turn it on and see if the clock runs at all. What I'm going to use is just a regular nightlight bulb. And the one I have, it's 4 watts, which I think should work. So let's see about getting this in here. Yep. Okay. Let me plug it in and I'll turn it on. And the light works. There's a little switch on the bottom here. And I believe the clock is running because it sounds rather noisy. Let's see if you can hear this. That's been a problem I've seen with these type of clocks. The motors tend to be noisy. And my plan would be to, hopefully, it's a type of motor that I can unscrew, take it apart in order to clean and lubricate it. If I can't do that, if I'm unable to get it quiet, I may have to consider trying to come up with a replacement motor. So the first step is going to be opening up the back of it, just a few screws here, and let me get to work on that. There's one. Two. Three and four. Open up. There we go. Okay. Well, there seems to be a few openings in here. If I can't totally take it apart, I might be able to get some oil in it. But what I want to do next is figure out the best way to remove the motor from here. So let me take a closer look at it, and once I know what I'm doing, then I'll continue. Let me just show how it looks when it's running. And definitely can hear it. I'm not sure if it's the motor itself making the noise or the gears that are on the inside. But I'm not seeing any screws here to undo to get it out. And what I'm thinking might be the case is, right, there's a nut over here. And if I undo this, the whole motor is going to drop out. So let's get to work on that. Now I got the nut off. But it's still not coming loose. So let me take a closer look and see what's holding this up. Unless it's this little washer here. There's a small washer here. I don't think that's what's holding it up, but let me try to remove it. Something's holding it up. Let me take a closer look at it, and once I figure it out, then I'll continue. One thing I'm noticing is because there's threads on here that the nut went over, that might be what's holding it to this to the whole plate on the front. So if I can unscrew this or wiggle it, there we go. I did it. Next, to really remove this all the way, I'm going to undo these couple of wire nuts that are holding it in. Okay, what I'm going to do with a little bit of tape is label these wires as I take it apart so that I know which way they go back together. So let me work on that. Once the other nut is off and the wires are labeled, then I'll continue. Okay, what I've done, try to show it. One group of wires I labeled with blue tape, these three, and the other three with some black tape. So when I go to put it back together, I won't have any doubts on how it goes. Okay, let's put this aside. All right, again, I'm going to take a closer look at this, figure out if there's a way to take it apart. And once I have an idea what I'm doing, I'll continue. In looking closer at it, everything appears to be riveted together, so I can't take this apart. I'm also noticing when I look at the gear that comes out of the back of the motor, looks like a lot of dirt in it. I don't know if you can see that or not. So I'm going to try to clean that, see how much oil I can get in around the edge here. But the other thing I'm noticing is of those three wires, two of them I think is what hooked it up to the light. And if I reattach these two blue and these two black, at least this should be able to work, and I'll see how it's doing as I try to clean and lubricate it. So let me reattach these wires and see if it runs. There's one. And two. Okay. Let's see how that works. Let me turn it on and we'll see what happens. And there we go. Okay, it's running. All right, let me get to work on trying to clean up the gears a bit, seeing if I can lubricate any of it. Once I've done all that, I'll come back and we'll see if it's running any quieter. I've cleaned up the gears as best I could, and I was able to drip a bit of oil inside the stem around that center gear where the dirt was. And let's turn it on and see if it's running any quieter. Well, I can hear it a little bit, but I definitely think it's an improvement. So I'm going to go ahead and reassemble this, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so let's move this aside. A little washer and the nut. Next, I'm going to take off the wire nuts, reattach the other two wires, and then we'll plug it in again. I've reattached the wire nuts. Now we'll close it up. And one more. And let's see if it's still running quiet. It's a lot quieter to me. So what I have to work on next is trying to come up with a pair of hands. The light's still working. So let me rummage around my parts and see what I can find. I've come up with a couple of hands that I think will fit. So I put them in position here. All right, I think I'm in business here. Now to find a place to hang this up so that it's on display. I have it mounted on the wall along with my other beer clocks, Rheingold and Budweiser, a Spartus novelty clock. I believe it's from the 1970s. And I have one more thing that I think will make this quite appropriate. The bar is open. And it's about time for a nightcap. And that's about it for now. Till next time, bye for now.